What is going on? Happy Tuesday, everyone. Dane's Great Journey checking back in. I know I'm in the car. Just so much stuff going on, guys. When you have a full-time job, it's hard to make videos on a consistent basis. So you gotta roll with the punches. You gotta do it while you can. And don't worry, I'm looking at the road, and that's why I'm not gonna be looking at you. But I wanted to talk about something I brought up probably 5 videos ago, but another way to kind of talk about this topic. And what the topic is another way to think about success. I think the word success has so many meanings, but in today's social media driven, Instagram driven, Facebook driven, constant stimulus driven environment, we are constantly bombarded with people trying to tell us how to be successful, right? I'm making a video on success. Am I telling you how to be successful, right? It could be another way to think about success. But again, I want to talk about success to hopefully at the end of this video, you take away with another way to look at it to help you live a more successful life. And I know that's a big promise, but entertain me for a few minutes here this morning. I hope you guys are having a good Tuesday. But when it comes to the general definition of success, a lot of people associate achievement to it, which makes sense, right? You achieve something, you set out to do something and you accomplish it, and that's kind of considered success. Where I think the problem lies is in today's society, everyone is attributing success to achievement related to financial abundance or financial gain, how to make money, how to do this, how to do, how to become a millionaire. Like, that's such the big message out there. Or how to be an entrepreneur, or do your own thing, or stop working for your boss, say F you to your boss and go work for yourself and do your own thing. And yes, the advice is kind of targeted one way in terms of my opinion of what I think is out there on social media. But what about all the other things in our life that we can do successful? And how I look at it is, how can I live a successful life? Not how can I become successful, but how can I live a successful life? So think about just changing first off the question of how you ask it for yourself. Instead of saying, how do I become successful? Ask yourself, how do I live a successful life? But then again, you have to take it and peel back one layer and say, well, what is a successful life? And I'll give you my definition of a successful life, because it takes into account a few different things, which I think are important to think about when you're thinking about living a successful life. So I think the facets to think about when living a successful life or aiming to live a successful life, because again, not everyone's perfect. We're strong in some areas, we're not strong in other areas. But when I think about how do I live a successful life, I think of different areas of my life. One being my faith. I believe in God. You don't have to necessarily have this as an attribute of living a successful life, but I definitely think it's important to have something that you believe in, right? Whatever that might mean for you. So that's one area of my life. How do I measure if I'm living a successful life? Well, how am I building that relationship with God? How is my faith? Do I go to church? Do I get grounded in the Word? Do I, seek to grow in this area of my life? That's how I measure that area. So that is one metric of how I'm measuring living a successful life for myself. Another one would be, how are my relationships? How are my relationships with my family? Am I staying in contact with them? Am I growing in the relationship we have? Am I spending time with them? Am I helping them in any way that I can help or serve them? Whether that's getting on the phone on a week-to-week basis to talk to them, to ask them about the things they're going through, and to share the things I'm going through, because support is everything. And I made a video about relationships in the last video. So that's another area I measure. Again, when it comes to relationships, how are my personal relationships with my friends? Do I have strong ties to people I consider friends who would do anything for me? How many of those do I have? Do I need to go out and find more of those specific relationships? So I think this is a critical role of living a successful life. And then maybe in the relationship aspect, how am I with, finding a significant other, if that's something important to you as well, because everyone needs love and connection. So where is that on the pedestal of my relationship pillar in my successful living criteria, right? Another one is, how are my finances doing? Right? Money. Again, we still have to talk about money, but again, I don't want you to round your success and tie all your success to how much money you have. Money is important, but again, Living a healthy life is important. Having relationships is important. Having a certain level of faith, having a certain level of energy, right? These are other attributes. Sorry for the lighting, guys. I'll take it over to the right here so you can see my side face. But yeah, so how do you think about that when it comes to how are my finances? And maybe successful living is just I'm saving money every month. I made a video on finances, managing your finances, but maybe successful living to you is I'm cash flow positive every month. I'm saving money every month. I'm investing every month. Whatever that means to you, we have to start somewhere. Don't put yourself and start comparing yourself to people who are millionaires who are saying you need to be making $1 million a year. You need to make it being $100,000 a year. How about you just make whatever you can make right now and then you build upon that and set goals to build upon that. Don't let other people make the constraints for your own life, because then you're always comparing yourself to someone else, which is going to make it so much more difficult. So maybe your successful living when it comes to your finances is I'm saving money every month, I'm earning money every month, and I'm paying off my debts every month, and I'm being able to pay for my expenses, and I'm growing, and I'm growing, and I'm growing, right? So that's another area I would measure, because you have to measure your finances in some capacity. Another area I like to measure is how is my personal growth? What am I learning? How am I becoming better? What skills am I developing? And that comes back to, being able to read and being able to learn new things. So that's something I would consider successful living. Am I reading? Am I engaging my mind and growing every single day? Another one could be, how are my side projects, right? The passion things that I do, like Dane's Great Journey or Young, Wild, and Rich, or some of the other things I'm working on. How are those progressing? Am I putting energy into them? And what are some of the challenges? What are some of the good and what are some of the bad? But do you see, guys, when you start looking at life rather than how can I become successful? And again, so many people tie success to how much money I have. Am I a millionaire yet? No, I'm not a millionaire yet. Okay, well then I'm not successful. How do we create more pillars of actually measuring what a successful life means to you is how you can ultimately start thinking about success. So you can start thinking about, actually, I am living a successful life. Why can't we start living a successful life now versus trying to put this off into some future result that we ultimately want? So that's my challenge for you today. First, change the way you ask yourself that question of, how do I live? How do I become successful? To how do I live a successful life? How do I live a successful life? And then what does a successful life mean to me? How's my faith? How is my fitness? How is my family? How are my finances, right? Adding those other things. I didn't even mention health, right? Or fitness. That's another important one. If you're in great shape, you're living a successful life in one area of your life, which is very important because you need health or you have nothing. I don't care if you had $1 billion. If you couldn't get up out of bed, how rich is your life really? Right? So think about those pillars: faith, family, finances, fitness, relationships, all those areas. Start creating those pillars and then just grade yourself on a 1 to 10 on each one. You're going to have an area that you're strong in. Don't be so critical of yourself. There are areas in your life that you are successful in right now, and you're building upon it. Remember, it is a long game. We're in this for the long run. We're in this to continue to grow and give and become better. We're trying to grow every single day. We're not supposed to be perfect, but we can start living an exceptional, successful life now when we start to measure the different areas that are going to help us become successful. We want to be a well-rounded, successful person. We don't want to be someone who's successful in one area and is out of control in the other areas and who has no level of success or control in those other areas. So how do we create those pillars? Think about like faith, family, finances, fitness, relationships, growth, whatever that looks for you, and then say, where am I at? And then how do I spend a little bit of time into each one to getting better every single day? Like the 1% rule. How do you become 1% better every day? Compound that over 365 days. That's 365% better over a year. So remember, guys, don't be so hard on yourself. Think about success in a different way. How do I live a successful life? How do I live a successful life? That's the biggest takeaway for you today. Measure those pillars. I know we're almost at 10 minutes, but if you watched it this far, I think you're going to get a ton of value if you then go and take this and start thinking about it differently. Write down these things, think about them, meditate on them, ask yourself good questions. The quality of your questions are going to determine the quality of your life. So in order to have a great quality of life, ask yourself better questions. See you guys. Have a great Tuesday. Let's go after it. Let's get it. I'll see you guys in the next video.